days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. Welcome to the show, everyone. Going to be talking about some training camp updates because there was returns, there were signings, and unfortunately, there are more injuries for the San Francisco 49ers at training camp. And the 49ers are moving along pretty expeditiously as they are now finishing with the non-padded practices and are moving to getting pads on. So that means helmets and shells. That means the 49ers are going to start hitting. That means they're going to start getting into these competitions, are going to reach a fever pitch. And this is going to be an exciting time for the San Francisco 49ers because we are approaching preseason games starting. That's right. It's just around the corner. By Thursday, we're going to have preseason football in the NFL, and it's not too long, and we're going to have 49ers football. And so this is an exciting time, and there's a lot going on at training camp. The San Francisco 49ers are dealing with some injuries, which means they're having to make some strategic moves to their roster to ensure that they have the depth they need to be able to go through practice. Now, so far, it doesn't appear that any of these injuries are catastrophic. It doesn't appear that any of these injuries are extremely serious that are going to put the season in jeopardy for any of these players. But what it is a setback. And some of these guys don't need setbacks, especially young guys. Guys the 49ers need to step up. Guys that the 49ers need to be able to contribute to this football team if they have any hopes of being able to make the playoffs and a push in the playoffs for a deep playoff run. And that's exactly what their plan is. Now, it's not all bad. There's a lot of good things going on as well. The 49ers have a lot of young players stepping up, a lot of young players making plays. They got key veterans doing the same thing. So there's a good and a bad. And this is the ebbs and flows of training camp. This is the ebbs and flows of the offseason as you're building to the regular season and the season debut against the Seattle Seahawks. Every single year, this same thing happens. Some players go down. Some players get signed. Some players elevate their game. Some players decline. This is exactly what NFL football is all about. And building the best 53-man roster. 49ers continue to build a Rolodex, working out offensive linemen, defensive ends, now cornerbacks, and ultimately they made a cornerback signing. I'm going to be talking about everything that happened from the returns to the signings to the injuries in this episode. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening on audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating. And if you are going to bet with BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be your number one source for all your sports betting action. And with baseball season in full swing and football season around the corner, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting. From MLB, UFC, to tennis and NFL futures, BetOnline remains your choice for sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Head to the website today and take advantage of the industry-leading VIP program, level-up bonuses, and weekly cash boosts. BetOnline, the game starts here. And where I plan on starting is with some really good news. And we had heard Kyle Shanahan mention this at the start of training camp, that it was very much thought that Ricky Pearsall was going to return for block number 2. And guess what? Block number 2 has come, and number 1, Ricky Pearsall, was on the field. And Pearsall coming back is a welcome sign for a wide receiver room that has dealt with a brash amount of injuries. The 49ers have, of course, Brandon Ayuk out, but Jacob Cowing, he's dealing with a hamstring issue. He's out, and 49ers have had to bring guys in at the end of the roster because Pearsall was out. So you got St. Brown coming in, you got Cephas coming in, you've been expecting things from Russell Gage, and he's been delivering. So there's been a lot of question marks, but with Ricky Pearsall returning, that means the 49ers had their top 2 receivers out there. In fact, their top 3, because even though Demarcus Robinson is facing a potential 3-game suspension, he's going to be practicing with the 49ers and playing in all the preseason games. So we're going to see him all the way up until he's officially suspended. And of course, that won't take effect until the regular season. Then he won't be allowed around the team, and those types of things will change. But right now, you've got your top 3 receivers: Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Demarcus Robinson. They're all out there. They're all practicing, and that's great news. Because with Pearsall getting in shape and getting reacclimated, that means you can expect him to jump off. And everyone is looking for Ricky Pearsall to build off what he did at the end of the season last year. Go watch that Detroit Lions game. Ricky Pearsall was special in that game. It wasn't just another receiver, but it was a big-time potential receiver there. You started scratching the surface of what Ricky Pearsall could be. And just watching his game elevate, I watched a ton of his college film in preparation for the draft a couple years ago, but also after he was drafted, breakdowns, evaluations, and I've seen a player that's grown. I got to see Pearsall, the way he was handling practice, and this is a guy that was getting off press releases, getting out there and making some plays in the open field, and Pearsall even had a touchdown catch inside the red zone from Brock Purdy. It was a nice throw. Pearsall makes the catch, and of course, you expect red zone touchdowns from your players when you're going through red zone drills. It's just the way it should be. But seeing Pearsall already get out there and start making an impact, and yes, I had talked about this before, I don't believe that missing the first 3 practices are going to affect Ricky Pearsall at all. And now it's just about making sure he's completely healthy, motivated, and now pushing and elevating his game every day. That way, when he gets to that regular season start date and he's ready to play the Seattle Seahawks, that it's the best Ricky Pearsall that we've ever seen. And that's what he's building towards right now. So this is great news for the 49ers, getting a player back like Ricky Pearsall. You had Pearsall, you had Jennings, you had Demarcus Robinson, and it's all excitement. And then, unfortunately, towards the end of practice, Jawan Jennings wasn't able to finish practice. He was hobbled, and Kyle Shanahan took to the presser to tell the media that, you know what, Jawan Jennings, his calf that he's been dealing with the entire offseason, it's bothering him. And so he wasn't able to finish practice. So you got Pearsall back, and you're living on cloud 9. And then next thing you know, Jawan Jennings is down. Now, the significance of it doesn't appear to be very drastic. It doesn't expect to limit Jawan Jennings for a long time. But it does appear that this could affect his availability for practice today. It could, for the rest of block 2, maybe even into block 3. So this is going to be something to monitor. But the 49ers definitely have a lot of young guys that can still step up and are in need of some of these reps for the 49ers. So it's unfortunate that Pearsall comes back and Jawan Jennings goes down. And now we're going to be watching to see what Jawan is going to do as far as recovery. But 49ers know what Jawan is. He's been having a good training camp, and it's unfortunate that he's dealing with this. So let's see. Let's see what happens. Soft tissue injuries are pretty common when you're talking about training camp, and we'll see how long this thing affects him. Now, updates on a couple of 49ers players. First off, Renardo Green. He went down on Friday's practice, and it was a leg injury. And the question marks were, what exactly is the injury? Was it a hamstring? Was it a lower leg injury? Well, now we know. Kyle Shanahan did reveal that it's a hamstring injury. So Renardo Green went from having his best practice of the entire offseason at training camp to potentially on the shelf for a while. Now, the good news is Kyle Shanahan says they're pretty confident. They know a timeline for Renardo Green. They expect him to come back the week of the Raiders preseason game. So the expectation is he could be back the week of August 11th. Doesn't mean he's going to come back on the 11th, but that week. The 49ers do have joint practices with the Raiders in Las Vegas before their preseason game on that Saturday. So there's a chance Renardo Green's going to be back for the second preseason game. He could be back for joint practices and could be available then. So seems like the 49ers have potentially dodged a bullet here with Renardo Green's injury. It's not a significant hamstring injury that's going to keep him out months. That is good news for the 49ers. So the 49ers, feeling pretty confident now with Renardo Green coming back. That's great news. But they still needed depth at the position. You can't suffer injuries at wide receiver, at cornerback. These are two positions where they're going to be out there running extensively. So what the 49ers did is they went out and they signed cornerback Eli Apple. And Apple's been around the league for a long time. He signed a 1-year deal with the San Francisco 49ers. He only played 4 games last year for Los Angeles Chargers. He's played in the league for a lot of teams. In fact, he's been all over the place. He's been with the Giants. He's been with the Saints. He's been with the Panthers. He's been with the Bengals, Dolphins, and Chargers. Been in the league since 2016. So 9 seasons in the NFL. He's been around, and he's pretty much done it all. He's had moments where he's been hyper successful, moments where it's been a little bit more shaky. But last year in his 4 games, he was pretty good for the Chargers. In fact, if you look at his PFF grade, he had a 78 overall grade with 1 pass defense. And remember, this is just a 4-game sample size. But a 78.6 coverage grade playing for the Chargers, playing for Jim Harbaugh. His run defense wasn't as good as 60.3. Not exactly his game and what he's built to do. But it does illustrate that he has the ability to go out there and cover. And the 49ers are consistently still looking for guys that can help on the outside. When you look at their current depth chart at cornerback, the 49ers needed somebody to step in on the outside for Renardo Green with the injury. Now, guys who have been doing it right now, Trey Brown, for instance, but Trey Brown is the combination guy. He's a versatile guy. He plays inside, he plays outside. Upton Stout is just an inside guy. So the guys who are competing on the outside are guys that, we've been talking about the whole offseason. You've got Dallas Flowers, you've got Darrell Luter Jr., you've got Trey Avery, Jacob Robinson, but you needed to add more depth to the position. So you bring in Eli Apple. And, we talked about the fact that he had a pretty good season in his time last year. Now, he dealt with injury. He's been dealing with injuries off and on his whole career. It's very much kind of stymied his growth throughout the years. And that's why he has a lot of short-term contracts, a lot of late-season signings, which he did last year with the Chargers. He signed on late, played 4 games, was playing pretty successful, and then missed the final 6 games because of a hamstring injury. So if that makes you nervous, injuries, Eli Apple is not going to calm your nerves. He's going to keep you on the edge of your seat because he does make mistakes like that. But he's a guy that's, caused turnovers in his career, experience playing in multiple schemes, in multiple systems. And so it's an easy transition for Eli Apple into almost any defense, which I believe that's exactly what the 49ers are looking for. An easy transition for a player that can step in day one and give you reps on the outside. It doesn't mean that he enters the competition and moves ahead of the players that are already out there competing. But what it does is it puts everyone on notice that he's coming to play, and everyone knows he's got starting potential because he's done it already in the NFL. So this is not a signing to have a guy that's going to start, but this is a signing to get somebody you feel comfortable with that has the ability to start. So Renardo Green out, Eli Apple in for now. And there could be another corresponding move. I don't think the 49ers have officially announced Eli Apple signing, which means they haven't made a corresponding roster move. We'll see what that ends up being. A lot of that probably comes down to what is going to happen with Teron Jackson. Teron Jackson, the defensive end for the San Francisco 49ers, went down at the end of practice and suffered a injury. Now, Kyle Shanahan did say the good news is he was conscious. He had feeling in all of his extremities. And so that's good news for the 49ers, but I'm sure they're keeping a close eye on what is to happen with Teron Jackson before they make a determination and waive or release another player when they don't know if maybe they need to just put Teron Jackson on the PUP list And who knows, that could happen at any moment, right? It could happen as I'm recording this. So there are things that can definitely happen, but Teron Jackson carted off the field. And a lot of people are still intrigued by Teron Jackson. Very much a Sam Okuwanu type build, 6'2", 200, and 50 pounds in that range. And he can really move off the edge, got some ability in pass rush, a real stout figure. So 49ers definitely were intrigued by Teron Jackson, and hopefully everything's okay. And he's going to be able to go out there and compete for the San Francisco 49ers. But that's probably why they haven't officially announced. They're waiting on that. We'll see. We'll see who ends up being the corresponding move for the San Francisco 49ers from Eli Apple. Now, good news in the wide receiver position with Jacob Cowing as well, because there was a fear that maybe with the hamstring pull, Jacob Cowing might be out as long as 3 months. According to Kyle Shanahan, that's not going to be the case. He set forth a timeline as well. And one thing that Kyle Shanahan's been saying, and you could always, get nervous about listening to Kyle Shanahan when it comes to injuries, but he has been saying over the offseason that he doesn't want to put timelines because then people hold him to timelines. Well, he did put a timeline, and it's very similar to Renardo Green's. Their injuries happen a couple of days apart, and Jacob Cowing is also targeted for that period of the August 11th joint practice week. They're not joint practice aren't on August 11th, but that week of the Raiders game potentially coming back. And that's great news because Jacob Cowing needs to get reps. He needs to get more experience in the 49ers system. And I understand he went through training camp last year. He played a season for the 49ers. But that doesn't mean that he's ready to go. We all know he had some struggles last year. So he is somebody that the 49ers want to see out on the field. And he's got some competition around there. He's got competition when it comes to punt return. 49ers are working out multiple players, including Ricky Pearsall getting some reps as punt returner. And I've said this before, Ricky Pearsall is the most smooth and most consistent receiving the football on punt returns of any player on the San Francisco 49ers roster. He is the one I'm the most confident with, but as a starting wide receiver, I don't exactly want him taking those reps either. So we need Jacob Cowing. We need him to handle it. Right now, he's the one I think they're the most confident with. So interesting time there for Cowing and Green, but hopefully they are capable and ready to come back for the Raiders. Now, when it came to Juwan Jennings, there was no timeline for his return. So remember that as well. There's no timeline for his return as of yet. We'll see. Now, the practice on Sunday was the final non-padded practice, which means, yes, the 49ers are about to kick the tires and light the fires, and things are about to happen. What that also meant was the 49ers were getting in a little bit extra rest for a few of their veteran players. Number one, Nick Bosa, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, all did not practice, and they'll probably have an opportunity to go out and practice in the first padded practice, which will be fun, seeing those guys out there competing, which is going to be very huge for this football team. So the 49ers have been kind of working in a lot of drills, and one of the people that they're getting ready to start working in is Ben Bartch. So Ben Bartch has been working out on a side field, and I must admit, he looks really, really good and close to coming back. I think that Ben Bartch is days away, potentially, from being back. He looks mostly recovered. The drills that they're going through is the more advanced part of his rehabilitation from the quad injury. And so I expect him to be activated from NFI sooner rather than later. And then here comes the competition with Nick Zakelj. Nick Zakel's been doing a good job, but you can't really evaluate him completely until you get into pads. And that's what's going to be one of the fun things. Nick Zakelj, Ben Bartch, we want an open competition. We want these guys competing to see who can be that starting left guard. So Bartch is looking good. That's good news. At some point, he's going to be ready to come back for the San Francisco 49ers. I think that's going to be huge for that left guard competition. Curtis Robinson has been working on his ACL tear rehabilitation. He was working on a side field. Same with Andre Dillard, who is also getting some work on a side field. So Dillard is going to be thrust into the offensive line competition as soon as he is capable and ready. And right now, Spencer Burford's been getting all those left tackle reps. He's doing a good job. Like I said, though, we're about to get into pads, and he's about to go battle against Nick Bosa and Mikael Williams. And so that's going to be very interesting to see where exactly he fits when it comes to tackle competition. But expect Andre Dillard to be thrown out there as well. Dillard, Pleasance, and Spencer Burford, the top three when it comes to depth pieces at offensive tackle who are going to be competing. And I think Andre Dillard ends up being somebody that competes with Spencer Burford for that swing tackle role because of his versatility. So that's great news. Barch, Robinson, and Dillard all look like they are getting closer and closer to being able to return, and that will add that depth the 49ers need. And who knows, maybe by the time, maybe the 49ers will stay primarily healthy, and by the time we get to joint practices with the Raiders, that Barch, Robinson, Dillard, and then Jennings and Jacob Cowing and Renardo Green will all be back. We can all hope, right? And, don't really know what's up with Yetur Gross-Matos yet, but that's another guy that I'm keeping an eye on to see exactly where he is going to be at. But you've got guys at least on the track to come back. Now, without Renardo Green practicing, the 49ers were dealing with different guys at cornerback, and I like that they're kind of giving everyone a clear evaluation, letting them go out there and compete. And they worked Trey Brown and Dallas Flowers out on the outside. And we all know that I have been talking Dallas Flowers up over the last month or so. I've been a huge fan of what I saw on film, his connection with Gus Bradley, his length, playing in a system, but also proving when he played for Gus Bradley that he was a starting caliber corner. Not only did his numbers prove it, but the fact that Gus Bradley signed off on him starting. Now, he was injured in 2023 towards Achilles. 2024, he wasn't right, but now we're seeing a healthy Flowers, and Flowers was making some plays out there, including one where he got up, and this is something you can actually see on film that he did with the Colts. He's really good about sagging in zone coverage, but because of his length and athletic ability, plays that quarterbacks think they can make to sneak one over the top of him, he's able to go ahead and knock those footballs away. So he kind of erases some open receivers in zone coverage, which is a huge element to having those tall, physical cornerbacks. That's one of the huge advantages you have. So Flowers and Brown are getting some opportunities in Renardo Green's spot right now. Of course, Brown is still moving inside and working. Same with Upton Stout. Those guys are both working in the slot. But it's interesting to watch the 49ers work out these guys on the outside, and they're adding more competition. You have Dallas Flowers, you have Trey Brown, you have Darrell Luter Jr. That are going to play on the outside, Jacob Robinson that can play inside and out. And then now you've added to that with Eli Apple. He's going to be playing on the outside as well. And so that's going to be one of the things that's fun. Now, Brock Purdy also returned to practice after his day that he missed for a personal reason. I'm not going to say, anything. I don't know why he missed, and I'm not going to speculate on that. That is Brock Purdy's personal information, but he came back, and he had a pretty good practice. He was in there, letting it rip, making some plays, and, taking some shots. And I think that's one of the things I love about Brock Purdy is when he misses, you don't even know that he misses because he doesn't have any rust. He comes in, he just executes the next day. And that's exactly what he's been doing. 49ers look really good in their red zone work on offense. He was able to get the balls out on time, and they were able to really have some good opportunities to get the ball into the end zone, which is huge. Isaac Garendo continues to make strides. He's doing a really good job in the passing game and having some good catches out there. So we're seeing some positive things from the running backs. Corey Kiner also had a nice catch deep down the field from Tanner Mordecai where he was matched up with Robert Beal Jr. So we're seeing these guys making some plays, and that's exactly what we want from this 49ers offense is Brock Purdy being able to use all of his weapons, including checkdowns, but not just him, but also Tanner Mordecai and Mac Jones. Mac Jones had another solid day, did really good in the red zone work. was able to get the ball to Russell Gage for a nice little touchdown, able to get the ball out to Isaac Arendo as well. And so we're seeing the quarterbacks succeed. And this is going to be something that happens at training camp a lot. You're going to see days where the offense really excels, and the next day it's going to be the defense that really excels. Some of that, the process of where they're at in their install. The other part is they're also working together. Defensive coaches and offensive coaches are collaborative, and they work together to put the defense in tough situations to see how they respond, or to put the offense in tough situations to see how they respond. So it's something where it's a give and take, and you're expecting these guys to go out and execute, but you put them in some situations where it's more difficult. And so that's how it's going to be. Jacob Robinson continues to have another, solid day. So he's been making some headway. Jacob Robinson is getting on the radar, the cornerback out of BYU, and everyone's been talking about him since the 49ers first signed him as an undrafted free agent, and he's kind of built upon those projections. He's really out there making his name known and trying to get an opportunity to make this team, and I think he's in the hunt to make this football team for the San Francisco 49ers. And so we had Brant Boyer talk to the media on Friday about the kicking situation, and Jake Moody and Greg Joseph are locked into a battle, an open competition for kicker. And just to give you an update on what happened with these kicks, because Boyer said they didn't do very good on Friday. Well, they came out on Sunday, and Jake Moody went 3 of 4. He missed from 54 yards. He did hit from 28, 33, 40, and 54. So he made 28, 33, and 40, but missed from 54. Greg Joseph connected on all of his. So you're seeing Greg Joseph step up, and he's going to push. This is exactly what Brant Boyer wanted the entire time. He wanted these guys to go out there and compete for the open job. And there's plenty of those spots that are open. It's not just when you're looking at the units that have the kickers, but also, you're taking a look at what's going to happen with some of the other guys. A guy like Marquise Siegel, what is he going to do? How is he going to affect special teams? There's, the punt return job that is up for grabs. So many guys in the competition for that. Pearsall was working with the punt return group, also Junior Bergen and Jordan Watkins. So even though Jacob Cowing is not in the mix right now, he's still, in my opinion, the front runner, but now he's got a little competition, and special teams is still a big avenue, for a lot of these players to compete. So 49ers have a lot of things going on, the more injuries. And the good thing is these injuries aren't catastrophic. These injuries aren't overly significant. They are soft tissue injuries, nothing that's going to end a season, but they are things that can nag you and things that prevent you from practicing, prevent you from going to full speed, which could end up affecting your endurance later on. So that is something to monitor. The good news, Ricky Pearsall's back. The good news, Brock Purdy is back. The good news, the 49ers signed Eli Apple, and he's able to compete out at cornerback. Those are good news things. Bad news is that Juwan Jennings injured his calf. That is bad news. Not bad news, but not great news either. Renardo Green and Jacob Cowing are coming back in August. I think that's better news than bad news, because the timeline could be drastically skewed. And then really good news, Ben Barch looks like he is close to coming back for the San Francisco 49ers and competing. Same with Andre Dillard and Curtis Robinson. And that's the name of the game, competition. That's exactly what we want at training camp from these guys. So we're still lighting it up, and I'm excited. I am going to be out at training camp, going to be watching the first padded practice, and I'm going to be coming with my observations. So be on the lookout for that. That'll be coming up soon. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening to audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating. This episode was brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.